Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round 5 of the Aus Pro-Am Sim Racing Series, brought to you by HA Plant Repairs. Chris Purnell, thank you very much for the like. First on the stream tonight, we love it. First in, first dressed, and looking very fine in your retro livery there. Brought to you, as I said, by HA Plant Repairs. We are at the Boot, otherwise known as Watkins Glen, a place with a ton of motorsport history. And we're here tonight to make our own history, as it's the first time these guys have been here. As usual, I am joined on a Tuesday night by my co-conspirator, my man of the hour, Scotty Rankin, coming off a strong result. A strong result. We were just talking about it before the broadcast at Suzuka on the weekend in his own racing. Tell us a little bit about that, Scotty, and then tell us what we can expect to see tonight.
Won't dwell on it too much. We got to spray some champagne, I'll put it that way. We qualified P8 in the bottom split of 2 splits with 44 cars in it. Nearly got taken out in the first lap and never looked back to drive our way to a pretty clean P2. So yeah, we're pretty wrapped with that. And a shout out to my co-conspirator in racing format, which is Jordan Malcolm. He's always a big supporter of mine whenever I'm streaming and commentating, so he'll probably be tuned in and listening again tonight. As for what to expect from the boot, well, NASCAR is pretty much the most prevalent form of motorsport that finds its way to Watkins Glen throughout the year. However, on occasions you get to see these lovely, expensive GT3 cars racing around in various formats. Well, there may be, what is there, Xfinity, Cup cars, ARCA Menards, you name it in terms of NASCAR. GT cars, there's not quite that many series, but I tell you what, these things have got a hell of a lot more grip. The track is fast, it's flowing, because it's designed for cars that aren't meant to take right-hand corners. So what that means is that it's going to be all about getting the power down to the floor. And when we're talking about power, we know that there's actually been a balance of power update to this series. Stuart, take us through it.
Yeah, so basically what they've done here is to improve, or attempt to improve, a little bit of the balance here. Obviously, we've seen a lot of the guys running those BMWs, and those BMWs are, well, look, unfairly, they're saying that they're dominating the series, and we're not totally seeing that with a mixture of cars in our top 3 places at the moment. So, but look, the administrators are doing what they can to try and balance the series out for everyone's benefit. And as a consequence of doing that, have decided to make a small balance of power adjustment to the BMW for tonight's race. So we'll see how that mixes the field up. But in our opinion, probably not necessarily all that warranted. It seems like the BMWs are the ones getting the business done. But to our line of thinking, it comes down to driver consistency more than anything else. So with Matty Corleone being extremely consistent, and as a consequence of that, he is currently sitting 3rd in this championship. We also have our fastest GT driver in Brad Clink up in 7th spot. So there is variety in the top 7 spots. Yes, admittedly, 4 of them are taken out by BMWs, but at the end of the day, consistency and performance are the driving factors for these vehicles, with the BOP, or the balance of power, set mainly by iRacing.
And look, it's, to be perfectly honest, when I look down the list of cars, I think they're quite close together. I think it's a preferential thing. I mean, you're quite proud of saying that maybe the McLaren needs just a little tweak in the right direction.
I think it does. Let's be fair, it does.
Any excuse to see more McLarens on the track is a
absolutely
good excuse for you.
I love the orange. Ahead of anything else, it's got to be for the orange.
I tell you what, in the week, I found myself on in the warm-up events, starting behind McLarens, and they just breathe fire on their way to the green. So it's a sight to see, and I would like to now see more McLarens making their way around the circuit. So fingers crossed, the next balance of power update may include a small increase in power or something that brings the McLaren more in line. But for me, it's potentially what cars you're more comfortable with. Now, around Spa, when we were doing testing for the 24 hours of Spa in the GT3 cars, I actually found the Mercedes to be the best for me there. When we were racing over the week at Suzuka, the BMW was the best car. So long as you can make yourself a little bit adaptable and you're willing to test a variety of different cars to see how they feel throughout a stint, make a choice, go with it. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like drivers are actually able to switch cars week to week in this series.
Yeah, it's definitely about the car and the track, I think, more than the balance of power.
Yeah.
If we were honest about it, it just doesn't seem to me to be that big an issue. When you go to some tracks and the Mercedes quicker, you go to other tracks, the BMW is stronger. Look, the BMW probably is overall the strongest package at a majority of tracks, but each car in their own right. You know, we saw Luke Bergens in that McLaren as high as 5th place during our last race. So, you know, it really comes down to driver consistency, qualifying well, staying out of trouble, managing your pit stop, and that's really where it is. In this 2-race format, progressive grid field as well, so I don't see it as being that bigger an issue. I think sometimes, to be brutally honest, it's in the drivers' heads more than it is in the cars themselves. And any driver on their day, you know, in the category we race in, when I was racing in the Historics here in Victoria, Glenn Seaton came in, obviously can drive extraordinarily well, came into the category and blew everyone apart, even the V8 in a little Cortina. So it comes down to the driver, the capabilities of the drivers, and I think anyone on their day, Matty Corleone particularly, could take out a race ahead of one of those BMWs.
And that's the other side of the coin as well, without actually... I mean, it's food for thought, and it's an interesting conversation. Personally, whilst people may be, oh, you know, don't touch this car, don't do that to this car, it's about trying to keep the drivers happy and trying to create a scenario whereby, okay, just because iRacing says this is how the cars are going to come out to us, doesn't mean that we're going to accept them that way. I don't mind that. I have no problems with that. If they've tweaked all the cars and they find that things are better in this current format, perfect. If
Yeah,
after
absolutely.
tonight the BMW is all of a sudden, you know, a second slower a lap, and it's just completely not like, well, okay, we fine-tune that. I have no problems with that. I think that's good for racing as a whole. And I mean, if you have a look at the LMP1 series and some of the weight penalties that Toyota takes because they are so dominant in the LMP1s, they consider it a little bit of a joke. Fernando Alonso, when he goes over and he jumps into an LMP1 car and has to carry, I think it's like a 100-kilogram penalty now because the Toyotas are that strong. That's basically the other manufacturers going, look, we looked at it, we saw how dominant Toyota was, we looked at the number of investment, the amount of investment that goes into that sort of thing, and we just said, it's not worth it because we're not going to be able to get the desired flow-on effects that we're after. Yeah, we've mastered the hybrid technology, now we don't need to show it off in a race car, you know, we don't need to know that we're the best, we like doing things the way that we're doing, we don't like those rule specifications. With something like iRacing, obviously the investment and the dollar value that is put into research and development, it's not as high. There's more tweaking, you know, if anything that's going to change anything, it's going to be the setup and the way that you approach the car, you approach each individual race circuit, the amount of time that you're able to spend on those circuits. With only a week between races in a format so much as this, it means that drivers aren't able to potentially get as much time as they want into the tracks. They may also be practicing like you mentioned to me actually prior to the broadcast, is Sebring this weekend, the 6 hours of Sebring, in I believe it's GTE classes. So drivers might be practicing for those sorts of things. All of these different little factors are going to be playing into it. And then you've got not just time spent on a circuit, but time spent on specific circuits and specific cars. What happens if I sit down and I race V8 supercars all week? How does that translate to this? Well, what happens when the weeks whereby the two series that I might race, they both line up at the same track that I'm going to with this series? Well, I'm going to perform better because I'm going to know the track better. I'm going to know how to drive different cars better at this track. And I'm going to know other options that I can take to try and make overtakes, to try and make myself have a better position. Sorry, excuse me, heading into a race weekend in a race format like this. But look, I like the fact that we've done something. They've clearly gone ahead and said, look, we're not happy. The drivers aren't happy. Let's do something. Is this the right step? I think we're about to find out.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's probably a good segue to quickly have a look at our current championship standings, which I'll bring up on the screen in front of you there, and a good opportunity too to thank HA Plant Repairs, the marquee sponsor of the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series. D&O Building Maintenance Services are actually our pole position sponsor for this evening, and Peninsula Transfers, who sponsor our Hard Charger Award for this category. We've got Trent Laves, who is currently the leader of this championship after his strong showing at the endurance round last week. Zero change there, still leading this category with Jack Boyd following him directly behind, both in BMW GT3s. You can see there on the leaderboard plenty of up and downs, red and green arrows, which means there's been lots of movement within the category results as a consequence of the endurance round. And Matthew Cartellone there in the AMG GT3, currently sitting in third spot. We've got Mayers in fourth in a BMW, another AMG GT3 with Daniel Webster in fifth position, Firth in sixth, and Klenk in seventh, and then we are followed out by a round of GT3s. Keeping it in context as well, if we actually looked at the number of GT3 BMWs versus the rest of the field, there's always going to be a higher proportion of those cars finishing inside the top 10 because of pure volume. The perception is from the driver's standpoint that they are the quicker car, so they're the car to run. If we had a better volume or a more balanced field with more Mercedes, more McLarens and more Fords, I think you'd find a greater mix in terms of the overall results. So I'm hoping, as you said, that we do see some improvement tonight, but let's be honest, we're always going to see a high volume of BMWs inside the top 10 because there's just purely more of them on the track. So I'm hoping they haven't thrown the baby out with the bathwater here and done an update unnecessarily, but we'll see.
I love that term. That's amazing. Baby out with the bathwater. Look,
track temperature?
I'm quite partial to everything. Track temperature is currently 24 degrees Celsius. I believe you were showing it.
Yes, we are. Just as we get into qualifying here.
21 degrees Celsius. So I think the track is going to be, what's our in-sim time? It's currently
8:30 in the morning. Yep.
Yeah, so the track is going to be warming up throughout the session. So we're going to be losing grip. Having said that, it's quite a flowing circuit. So the rear is going to step out a little bit. Remember, these cars are actually quite strong in terms of traction control systems and slip. Something else to consider when you're choosing which car to pick from within this category, there's sort of two main factors. Drive, feel. How does the car feel? Now, personally, from my own personal experience, the Mercedes is similar to the BMW in corner pace. I think it's a little bit slower, just a little bit. There's not much in it, but they drive the corners very differently. The BMW doesn't need as much trail braking, whereas the Mercedes loves to trail its brakes just a little bit more. But I think it's stronger. The Mercedes is stronger under braking. So it's driving style differences, right? You know, and I think tracks like, I believe we started with this series at Mid-Ohio. That's a great track for the BMW straight away. Weak track on Mercedes. Mercedes seems to have a little bit more legs on the straights, just a little bit more engine torque. Watkins Glen could be a really good equalizer here. There's lots of extended little straights whereby you're getting on the power and you just want that torque behind you to push you in the right direction. Also means great track for Bergens this evening in the McLaren as well, because it's so strong on the power.
Yeah, absolutely. So qualifying here is going to be really important as well. It's a track where the uphill section of the track offers a great opportunity for catastrophe. So really the drivers are going to want to get out nice and strong and make sure that they can lead the race or run in the race rather than participate in it and potentially be a victim in someone else's accident, as we see Sam Nicholson there do a fantastic lap and move himself up from 12th into second on the grid.
Movers and shakers early. Who's out on a couple of flyers? There's a few drivers just trying to get themselves, but I'm not seeing a lot of fast sectors. Matt Gray is currently throwing down his first lap. Sam Lehman is on his best sectors, but not necessarily best out on the circuit at this point in time. I'm looking for some purples here, and I'm just not seeing them. It looks like Boyd, like I said, he's just gotten fastest again.
Yeah, he has. Nicholson, other than that, the biggest improver across the lap. But having said that, we've got a few drivers still out on their first lap. We've got Laves, who hasn't set a time yet. Miles Bond still not set a time yet, and Matty Cartellone not set a time yet as well. So just having a look at those drivers as they will come up. Michael Spithill will probably do a little bit of an improvement there, as well as Sebastian Murray-Westberg. So keep an eye on those guys in terms of some improvement through the timesheet as we get into this one. 15 minutes to go. I'm not sure. Didn't we have closed qualifying last week, Scotty?
I believe that may have been specific to the race format. Actually, just keeping an eye on Brady. He's just done the fastest, I believe it was full sector time.
Yes, he has.
He's gone P3.
Yeah, so 146.53. So really close at the front as well. I don't think we touched on it. Boyd doing a 46.26 and Nicholson doing a 46.28. So as usual in this class, we have a really, really solid mid-pack qualifying run with less than a second covering about half a dozen drivers. And then we've got our top sort of 4 or 5 drivers who are really... I don't know how to describe it. A flint behind one another. So yeah.
Boyd nearly improved in his time. I tell you what, Nicholson has all of a sudden stunned the field to go 146.12. So he improves. He was in P2, so he's improved by 0.16 of a second. And Boyd was on a flyer there just before as well. So expect him. He found some quicker sector times. He went quickest in sector 4.
Yeah, so we're on board with him now.
Looks like he is quickest in sector 4.
Just trying to keep up to date. It's difficult here with such a solid field again to keep across all of the different drivers and where they're doing their fastest times and to move on to them so that we can actually have a look at them, as Brady McHugh's done his fastest lap as well. A 146.35. Jeff Connell in third, a 46.33. Jack Boyd in second, a 46.32 last time around. Not his quickest lap, but you can just see the gap between these cars and these drivers is very small. So you've got to make sure you optimize that gap so you can run your lap the way you want to run it and get the lap in while you can. If you have a look at that track map that we've got up on the screen there, you can see it's basically like Bunnings car park on a Saturday morning down towards that bottom end of the track. So it's really important to optimise that lap that you've got. In fact, we've got a few. Carl Barvik out on his own at the moment in his lap. We'll jump on board with him. You can see he is in a section of the track all by himself. And that's exactly what you want to do in these mixed sessions. You definitely want to get out and get your own track space where you can get it done. It's difficult to achieve, but you've just got to bide your time, be patient, and then take the opportunity when you can get it. Or is Jeff Connell? P1? No, Jeff Connell's just gone P1, a 45.93, beating Boyd, who did his fastest time of 46 flat. They're in a pack together, so they're doing times together. Jack Boyd, 6,200 I rating there. What? That is unbelievable. He is...
No. What's more unbelievable is Jeff Connell.
Well, has beaten him. And has beaten him. Very true. Yeah. I didn't notice that we've got himself and Brady Myers 6,100 I rating as well. So 2 really strong drivers in terms of beating people who are potentially better than them. So fantastic to have them involved in the race. And as you say, Jeff Connell, this man we're in focus with right now, fastest man on the track, beating Jack Boyd on the lap. Is that Boyd right? It's Boyd right in front of him.
Yeah. Yeah, and then just up ahead of him is Nicholson as well, which is what I was just sort of keeping an eye on. So these guys would actually be using... They're in and out of that draft range, aren't they? Which is kind of perfect. They want... When they're coming off the fast straights, generally around here, it's into heavy braking zones, whereby you're trying to get the car settled and turned in. It's not so much high-speed corners as it is mid-speed
Boyd's
corners.
done 2 fastest sectors this lap.
Oh, this is going to be a quickie.
It is. Not your cheap hotel room kind. It's going to be a proper one. He's going to do a great job here. We're just watching Boyd come through, expecting this to be potentially the fastest lap of the race as he improves on his...
He's really in that draft of Nicholson too. Oh, he pulls out of it. No,
oh,
no,
he's pulled out of it.
That was Nicholson. That was Nicholson that
Yeah,
pulled
Nicholson's
out of it.
into
Boyd's
the
still in
pits.
it.
What's he done here? A 46.03, so 3/100ths slower than his fastest lap.
I tell you what, Nicholson might have put him off there.
Yeah, potentially.
Might have put him off.
We've got a lot of green on the screen at the moment. So Adam Bolton doing... we'll jump on board with Brad Klink here in the GT. What's he done? A 47.33. Yeah, 47.33. So he's just nearly 2/10 off the pace, but he has done his fastest lap at a 47.33 in the traffic. Who else have we got here? I'm jumping on with Bergens.
He had 2 purple sectors up, so that's what caught my eye when he showed up on the board.
And Bergens here is going to bin it into the fence, so we'll move off him there. He'll thank us for that later on. Jump back on board with Brady Myers here in the BMW. And important to note, based on our earlier conversations, 4 BMWs occupying the top 4 positions. Brady McHugh, our fastest of the non-Bavarians, in a Mercedes instead, so competing with the factory up the road. As Brady Myers has aborted that lap too. What have we got left? 9 minutes, so maybe jumping in to grab some fresh tyres. The track...
Fresh tyres, and I'd say he would have been at the back end of his fuel. So these drivers would be looking to run 3 to 4 laps with the fuel in the tank. And then they'll come in, they'll splash, and then they'll go again.
Just jumping on board again with Luke Bergens as a couple of our faster runners have jumped into pit lane. We'll keep an eye on their sectors, see if we can bring up any purples and have a look at those. While you are on there, thank you very much to the 16 or so people joining our stream. Oh, we're jumping up there as well. We'd love it if you could share the stream for us. Tell everyone that you're watching. Start a watch party if you feel so inclined and get everyone in to enjoy this race with us on your Tuesday evening, wherever you may be.
Hopefully, for those of us that are down in... Again, Clank is showing purple sector in the 2nd sector. Is that... am I looking at the right screen?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. No, he's on, but he's aborted that lap. He has pulled out of that lap. So we jump back on board here with Simon Nicholson, who is on a flying lap as well. Actually, that may be
That'll be an off-track.
It was an off-track. That may be his outlap. Brady Myers on an outlap as well. We've got Glenn Boyd in here, who's dropped a little bit down our standings, but only because it's so tight. 0.69 and 0.7. Jeffrey Wang moves up into 6th spot with Glenn Boyd in 7th there behind him. Having a little bit of a look further down the order here, just to see what sort of... My goodness, man, I've never seen so many numbers within such close proximity of one another in my life. We've got a 47.33, 47.36, 47.42, 57.68, 73, 80, 93, and then 2 in a dead heat. Sam Lehman and Sebastian Murray-Westberg doing 48.01s. So I reckon, again, here we've got less than a second covering our top 16 drivers. So fantastically close. It means it's going to be a good battle for us on the early laps with cold tyres.
My apologies for the bit of laughter there. Who was that in the 4 GTs? Sending a cone absolutely.
We're all a big fan of cone bashing here, so it's somebody there sending it flying. Jumping on board now with Miles Bond as he looks to improve on his 47.42.
Alright, so 7 minutes now left in the session. Interestingly, I was just keeping a little bit of an eye on pit lane transit times. So for 30, all of our drivers are doing about a 30-second stop. So that'll be fresh set of rubber. I'm not sure that'll be a full 4 tires swapped.
And certainly not a full tank of fuel.
splash.
Yeah, certainly not a full tank of fuel.
But the pit lane delta time, which is basically the difference in time just to run through the pit lane, looks to be about the 33-second mark.
Yeah, and as you say, that won't change.
So that's, I mean, you'll get a difference, but it'll be less than a second. Like, it's obviously going to be as close, it depends on how quickly those drivers get in and out of pit lane, as well as into their boxes and out of their boxes, you know, whether they're holding the throttle right as the car comes down off the jacks, you know, a few little things. Something that our viewers that may never have turned laps at Watkins Glen may be noticing is that there is a lot of runoff zone at the end of the first corner. All of that usable by the drivers and doesn't accrue an off-track, which may result in them receiving a penalty if they accrue enough of those points.
Thanks for the
Where
like
the
there, Luke.
grass starts, that's an off-track though, so keep an eye on that tonight.
Thanks for the follow, Matty. Appreciate it. So we're on board with Simon Nicholson here, who has, on his last lap, done his fastest fifth sector. So just looking to see if he can improve. He's basically just over a tenth of a second behind second place at this point in time. And then there's a further tenth between Boyd and Connell for pole position in this race. They will, if they take out pole position, they will win the pole position award brought to us tonight by DNO. Just lost my notes there.
Right. I'll tell you what, for all those drivers, for everyone that's tuning in to us over on Facebook, if you are joining us in on Twitch, don't forget to join us over on Facebook, facebook.com/FGM ECast. Go there, you'll see the live video. Up on the live video this evening, Stuart has put a question there for everyone tuning in. What would you be choosing to drive if you were showing up here this evening? Would it be a BMW? These BMW Z4s, very lovely sound to them, or would it be something else? Mercedes is particularly of note, 4GT, McLaren, or the Audi as well. And I can tell you that one of our broadcast sponsors in Virtual Motorsport Mentor, they're quite fond of the Audi.
Yeah, absolutely. That team running the Audi, and sorry for that there. I did lose my notes. Our qualifying tonight brought to you by DNO Building Maintenance Services. So we're just looking for the pole position there. That pole position winner will take out a $15 cash prize. Thanks to the guys at DNO Building Maintenance Services. So let's keep an eye on where we finish up here at the moment. That money is in the pocket of Jack Boyd, as he has just gone faster again with a 1:45.79. We've seen Sam Nicholson do the same thing, as he's done a 1:45.86. So a change there at the top with Jack Boyd going on pole. Sam Nicholson straight behind him with Jeff Connell, our pole sitter before that little update there, now down into third place.
Your eyes peeled. Yeah, I'd say Nicholson wants to stick in Boyd's draft here. I think he'd be pretty much trying to attach himself to just under a second behind Jack Boyd on all of the acceleration zones, because Boyd's going to be turning lap times that are so close to him that if he's right there in that zone, he'll be stuck in that zone, and that's perfect for him.
What is interesting tonight is how far down the list Matty Cartellone is in the Merc. He is currently in 14th position. He's got a little bit of free track now, however. He may have been caught up in a lot of heavy traffic.
I'll tell you what, Jack Boyd's just gone slightly faster on that last lap, just slightly. So he's not done turning fast laps at all yet.
Well, he needs to keep it going, because Brady Myers has just done his fastest lap as well, a 45.91. So they need to keep him coming if they're going to maintain their position at the top of the pole sitters and take out that DNO Building Maintenance Services pole position award for this evening.
Where's Cartellone on the track?
He's 14th now. He's just down the bottom corner. He's got a lot of space to himself. So does Brady Myers. In fact, Brady Myers just in front of him on track with lots of open space. So he will have an unimpeded run at pole position, as we've got Jack Boyd and Simon Nicholson really close together on track position, about 400 metres apart. So they are doing their probably not final runs, though they should get another lap started at this point in time. And they will have one more run to the flag. Whether they've got petrol enough and tyres good enough to have a crack at it, that remains to be seen. As Brady Myers there not improving on his lap time at all. Brad Clank, again, another purple sector for him, so we'll jump on board. That Ford's quite strong through the latter half of the lap. We've seen lots of purple sectors from Brad in the last two sectors of the lap, so see if he can improve there or not. A 1:48.1, so not able to improve on his fastest lap.
Yeah, he's only got a minute or so left. That was only actually the exit of turn 1, I thought it was just then. So I think he's done for the session. He will not have enough time to get out, get around and start another lap, although he may have been out of fuel. That's somebody else just pulling off there at the back of this pack. So I think it's down to Nicholson. I think Nicholson is about the only one here, from my mind,
Jeff Connell
who can snag $15. Oh,
Maybe.
yeah, Jeff Connell as well.
Jeff Connell's out on track,
point.
so he's in this pack. It's Jeff Connell and Simon Nicholson in this grouping that we're watching. So, and one's pulled out.
There's Connell.
Yeah, Connell is done. He's into the wall. So that's the end of his lap. So Simon Nicholson here is the man to challenge Jack Boyd for that pole position award. So we'll just stick on track with him.
Trent Laves, I think he's just started another lap. So you may see another lap from Laves yet.
I'm still showing him as being in the pit lane, so I don't know if I'm a little bit behind there. Glenn Boyd is out on track still.
The pits now. Sorry,
okay.
yeah, he's just
no
jumped in
worries.
the pits.
Brady Myers is just about to come around and complete his lap. He's aborted that lap as I expected. There was nothing to be gained. And it looks like out of time for Simon Nicholson as well. So congratulations there to Jack Boyd. He has taken out the D&O Building Maintenance Services Pole Position Award for this round. So he will pocket $15 and a great result for him in a very hotly contested session there. Now, we've got 2 races tonight as usual. We're back to our original format. It is a progressive grid. We'll take you through the grid as it stands at the moment. We've got Jack Boyd for Boyd Racing on pole position, followed by Simon Nicholson in XRC Racing, Brady Myers and Jeff Connell 3rd and 4th. Brady McHugh, Glenn Boyd 5th and 6th on the grid, with Trent Laves for Skid Control in 7th, with Kuznetsov, who silent achiever there. We didn't really get a lot of coverage of him during the qualifying, popping up in 8th. Jeffrey Wang in 9th, with Matty Cartellone there improving right at the end of qualifying to finish in 10th. Luke Bergen's Tom and Motorsport in 11th, and Simon Lartner rounding out our top 12 for this opening race. As we move on to the second page there, Miles Bond Pace Syndicate running 13th, Ian McMahon in 14th, Daniel Webster Race Image Motorsport in 15th, with Brad Klink in the first of our GTs in 16th. Hodak Kodak sitting in 17th for the Ben Motorsport Park, with Stephen Bartholomew Redback Race Team in 18th. Toby Pope in 19th, and Carl Barvik for another one of the Redback Race Team in 20th. Sam Lehman holding 93 SimSport in 21st. Hayden Jackson 22nd. Glenn Firth for MT Tech in 23rd, with Paul Chapman in 24th. And as we round out our grid, we've got Sam Lehman holding 93 SimSport 21st. Hayden Jackson 22nd. Firth in the second MF Tech cars in 23rd. Paul Chapman 24th. Sebastian Murray Westberg 25th. Adam Bolton 26th. Sam Terrell 27th. Dwayne Voss in 28th. Brady Buchanan 29th. And Rodney Hobb in 30th. Rounding out our grid tonight is Michael Spithill in 31st and Matty Gray in 32nd position, as the pace car gets us underway for the warm-up lap, or the rolling start, to bring us into this race, as we're waiting for the car to peel off and the lights to go green. I'm just about turning blue after reading out the length of that grid here, so I'm going to let Scotty take it away for the start of the first of our 2 races tonight for the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series, brought to you by HJ Plant Repairs.
Yeah, so it is heat number 1, 25 minutes, 14 lap race. So I believe it's 14 laps with 25 minutes allowed for the race. Actually, I just want to point out, Stuart, did you see the marshal standing in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen whilst we were looking
did.
back
He
on the
continually, he wants to be Insta-famous, and just keeps popping his bloody head into the corner of the coverage, and I'm not impressed.
So a big shout out to all the marshals and race control and everyone that actually participates in every series.
We really need to very quickly comment on the fact that there is an enormous gap between our top 4 cars and the remaining pack, and that will be brought to the attention of the stewards, I am sure. We've got certainly a much bigger gap there than is required between our top 4 cars and the rest of the field.
I don't know if that's because somebody didn't connect or not.
Not according to the timing screens.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, everyone's in their assigned positions. That's an odd one. So
doing a full warm-up lap here tonight as well.
Yeah, well, I was just about to lead in and say perfect opportunity for us to sort of mention some driving standards and things. For those of you who don't know, sim racing does allow a lot more leniency than you would normally see in a regular series for anything such as pacing laps, caution periods, and those sorts of things. It's pretty much down to the individual drivers to manage themselves on those cautions, formations, laps, and pacing laps. So, normally in a series, you would have a rule of you must stay X distance, and that may be related to you in car lengths, it may be time-based, it may be a number of different things, to the car in front under a caution period. Sim racing? Well, in iRacing, not a factor. It's just completely and utterly left there. The one thing you can't do is pass somebody before the green flag flies. Now, there are other rules in oval racing that will apply, such as no lane changing. It's generally pretty well applied here in road racing as well, but it's pretty hard and fast in ovals as well. Sometimes you'll see some preventative measures for pit lanes and those sorts of things, but ultimately, what's the best way to go about it? Maintain a steady gap to the car ahead and the car behind.
Pace car's about to pull off.
That's it, making our way down to the start-finish straight. It's going to be Jack Boyd who's going to control the field, and our favourite man in the bottom right-hand corner waves that green flag, and all go. Pretty clean start there from Jack Boyd. He leads it down, manages to get pretty much clear as the field tries to make its way through turn one. One of the big benefits of Watkins Glen is you can go 4, 5, 6 wide out on the escape road, but Boyd it is once again, followed by Myers. Always very quick to get the front. Nicholson straightens him out, so that's actually worked out just about.
Oh, there's a huge accident behind.
Mayhem in the middle of the pack. Is that Cartellone I see dropping like a fly throughout the pack?
Yes, absolutely it is. You picked that up. There is a huge accident here. We've got a car on its roof off into the air, and this is exactly what they were hoping to avoid in this one. And it has not worked out very well for them at all there, as we've just lost our camera. We're back on it now. These guys will be under a yellow flag here. Just trying to watch back. Most of the cars have ejected, and there will be a yellow flag, and there is a full course caution here to allow those guys to get back. And let's see. My goodness, I don't know where even to try and start to cover that one there. We had a crash notification for Luke Bergen, so let's start our review of the situation there.
I'll tell you what.
There it is. There it is. No, there it is. Sideways and across, and we've got 4. Now, how many cars are we going to get into it? Avoiding 5 cars. We'll bring it to you from another angle as well. That's from the chopper view there. We'll jump on board with Miles Bond, who also was a victim in this incident. As he ran down the inside, he just hopped onto the inside there and got stuck together with one of the Aus Pro cars who ran up on the fences. There's more BMWs here. You know who the benefactor of all this is? The panel shops in the local area. It was Bond who actually went airborne there, and that car is toast.
Absolutely toast. That's an engine change required.
Who else have we got here? Brad Clink there hobbling back in what looks like a very raw version of a Ford GT. That's certainly one of the development models there with no rear bumper on it and part of the rear wing missing.
I believe they call that a modified.
Yeah, it would be a modified. Miles Bond apparently has crashed again as well. So he did try. Not sure what's happened there. He hit the escape button, that car, looking very crab-like. And he's just trying to hobble it around. The reason they're doing that is because it takes a lot longer to tow your car back to pit lane than it does to drive it back. So the drivers there just trying to make sure that they're actually able to get back around and try and save themselves a little bit of time through this event. Good news is that we've got, out of all of that carnage, we've only got 6 drivers in pit lane, and most of them are being towed back, which isn't great, but being a progressive field, they'll get another chance in race 2 to try and drive from the back of the pack. You did point out earlier as well, one of the great saves at the start there was the slide from, was it Brady Myers?
And Nicholson got into the side of him and righted him. That was perfect. It was a really, really good tap. It was Nicholson, I think, that helped correct that one.
I was just trying to see. We actually don't have that indicated for a replay, but it was a great slide. Go back if you can. If you're watching on Twitch, go back and clip that for us and post it, because that was a fantastic catch on what could have caused, unfortunately, what unfolded a little bit later on at the start of the race. So we see there Matty Cartellone just rejoining the track. He'll jump back on the back of the field. And I think the good news for him is he hasn't gone a lap down. No, he hasn't. He's on the lead lap. So albeit there was some damage and disaster there for him, he's managed to limp that back to pit lane and he's back out on the lead lap. So he'll rejoin the field, albeit at the back of the field. Brad Klink likewise getting out in time, which leaves basically Jeffrey Wang, unfortunately, and Miles Bond, who will be unfortunately not able to get out in time to be on the lead lap behind the pace car. Pace car? Safety car? Too much oval track commentary. Caution period, yellow flag, safe car.
He's only dropped three places.
Yeah, no, it was great. He managed to get through. Look, and it really only took hold of the mid pack.
Yeah.
Who have we got here so far? Hard Charger or Michael Spithill benefited. He's up 13. So is Matt Gray, up 13 spots. The biggest loser, unfortunately, is Matty Cartellone, which seems about normal for him at the moment. Unfortunately, he's going through a little bit of a spell at the start of these races, and he's dropped 19 places. So, but watch for him to come back up through the field.
Who's that coming in to serve their stop?
We've got Ian McMahon there coming into pit lane.
Yeah, you can see the front of his car's bent up. Did that BMW get clear? Now, I'm a little... Whoever that was, I'm curious as to whether he may have exited a closed pit exit. Because remember, when the field is snaking its way down along past...
the lights are out. The lights are out.
So we're going to be going green this lap.
Yes, I think you're right. I think it will be a closed pit lane.
So what happens is that, and this happens in real life as well. When a safety car has the field held up behind it to prevent cars from basically speeding and charging down through pit lane and then coming out right in front of the pits, right in front of the not the pits, the field caught up behind the safety car, they'll actually close off the pit lane exit. That means that there'll be a red light displayed right at the pit exit, and it culminates in a funny series of events whereby Lewis Hamilton, I believe, took out Kimi Raikkonen a few years ago at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve because Raikkonen was stopped at the pit exit. There was a red light displayed whilst they waited for the field to come on past.
And
Hamilton
bang.
Yeah, it took Raikkonen out. Both of their races were over right there. So that's probably one of the most famous and easy to recognise versions of what's just happened there. Now, what will happen for Wang, I believe it was, that got out, is if that's the case, he'll have a black flag, he'll have a stop-go, he might have a drive-through penalty. So as soon as the safety car gets back out, comes back down the pit lane, and we go racing again, next time by, he's going to have to serve that one and drop even further behind.
And look, it's not going to matter for him. He's already 2 laps down.
Yeah, so it's not even a penalty, but hey, look.
That is how it works, though.
Yeah, that's the system. And you got to take your kicks. He was trying to prevent going another lap down. Ultimately, he will actually prevent it. The penalty will put him, 15 seconds off the rear end of the field. Oh, big whoop.
But equally, he will finish ahead of anyone who does not finish, which is important for his progress in the grid for race 2 coming up a little bit later on this evening.
Wondering, did Bondi get out of the pits? I think he did.
No.
No? Still in pit lane?
No, you're right. Actually, he's just left pit lane. He's jumped onto the back of the field. So he joined the field as they went past on the back of the field. He is on his first lap around now. And that's a shame, Bonnie, not really getting a break in this series. Certainly one of the quicker drivers on his day. And just struggling a little bit, unfortunately, to get that one up to speed this evening. And as they say, there's the benefit to qualifying up the front of the field. You don't get caught up in what will always unfold in the mid-pack of these races.
I tell you what we're talking about maintaining speed behind the safety car, Hayden Jackson just pointing out that on the back stretch there, just as we were looking at it, everyone was actually checking up, and there's this big concertina effect, because as soon as one car slows down, everyone slows down, and you end up with 3 or 4 cars in a really, really small space, and you get this big spread out when the cars in front of them start to accelerate away. And that safety car's about to make its way past. The green flag is in the air. Wait for that one to start waving, and there it goes.
4 wide. 5 wide.
It's going to be chaos down into turn number 1. There's a blue Mercedes trying to dive down the inside, grab positions away. I believe that might be Brady McHugh.
Oh, and we've got another one again.
Oh, it's Myers in it again.
Oh, my goodness me. And how has Sam Lehman... I jumped onto just a car to try and grab this unfolding accident, and somehow, out of a pack of 38 cars, I've managed to grab the one car that drove right through the incident. That was huge. There was block track everywhere there. We got yellow flag again. The stewards will be absolutely... I don't even know what word to describe it with. They'll be furious that we've gone from a yellow flag situation, and we're going to bring it back up again. Have a look back here. So 3 wide into turn 1, and just a slow car there, and then we've just got bang.
Who's that? It's Brady McHugh. Brady McHugh dive bomb down the inside, just about got it done. The BMW had to come.
I'll grab that.
The BMW had to come around the outside, had to rejoin safely, and there just wasn't quite enough space.
No, there was a punch on there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone punched McHugh. Who was that ran into McHugh?
I tell you what, give me 2 seconds.
I'm going to slow this right down. Slow this right down a little bit here.
Number 4 car is Jeff Connell.
So I think Jeff Connell's lost it. You can see there, he's already sliding, and he's just come straight across and
he's
bang.
That's on McHugh.
Bang.
That is 100% on McHugh.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
There is no way in the world that McHugh does not know he's on the left-hand side. McHugh's done a massive dive bomb down the inside to try and grab 3rd place. Yep, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. However, he has not provided sufficient re-entry space. So that is on McHugh. I expect a penalty for McHugh here.
Paul Chapman there also getting real wide, running into the Armco on the inside, on the outside of the track as we just continue with this slow-mo there. Look at that! Look at that GT drive right underneath the. If we can go
back. Is that Clank? I think it was Clank that drove underneath him.
I just want to. We'll go back here. Have a look at that. That is unbelievable driving to manage to get that amount of luck. And as I said, I did jump on board with whoever it was who I jumped on board with, and they were managing to drive right through. They put the hammer down, and we've got more drivers in the pit lane again. A number of drivers out, including Brady McHugh. At the moment, he's getting a tow. So, yeah, wow.
You may have heard of iRacing. Well, welcome to iPacing. It's a completely different video game, and somebody else destroying cones there in the background.
sponsored by Dodgem Cars R Us. He's unlapping himself.
Yeah, he's been given a wave around by race control. They've allowed him to get his lap back.
And that is good news. I like that. Good on your race control. That's great. We want to see that. There was a little bit of confusion about the wave around last week, so good to see they've cleared that up, and I'm good with that. I think it's good to get whoever's out there now who's a lap down. We're going to be on a safety car for another lap, so why not get him back onto the lead lap and get him into the race?
Well, okay, so last week at Cartellone, let's remind our viewers, we restarted the race with cars that were a lap down and out of order, mixed up in our pacing line, basically, and it just lent itself to a couple of major incidents whereby you had people who were trying to get by them as quickly as possible. You had cars trying to race to get their lap back at the same time as these guys trying to keep up with the cars that were actually ahead of them and pass by a lap car. And it just caused a whole chain of events, which caused another safety car and a few annoyed drivers, to put it lightly. So
I think annoyed probably doesn't quite encapsulate some of the feeling. But I like the positive spin.
The wave around was what we were talking about.
Yeah, it was.
Really resolved those issues nicely.
Yep.
So great job to race control to learn something out of that event, and I definitely feel like they've done the right thing here.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly, as I said, we've got 2 laps to go. It's not like it was on the lap when the lights went out. We're going to do another lap under safety car, so why not get him back into the competition and see what he can do on the lap. There's nothing worse than driving around having the blue flag waved at you all the time because you've gone a lap down early. So Miles Bond there right up on the back of the pack as we just see, who was that joining pit lane there? I think it might have been Carl Barvik just jumping into pit lane there, or Brady McHugh, one or the other.
I was just about to say, it would not surprise me The drivers, I believe, for both events this evening have 2 fast repairs. I think that's split across both sessions. So
Wow.
the early race and the second race. So if I'm in this queue right now and I've already burned through one of my fast repairs and I get damage again, I'm probably just going, yeah, look, I'm just going to sit this one out. I want to hang on to that. It's not worth it.
Or not, given that at this stage we've got through 5 laps, of which basically all of them have been under caution. So it's really here, it's about banking some progression. And speaking of which, Glenn Firth up 14, Matty Gray 21 spots up, Michael Spithill 19 spots up, Rodney Hobbs 17 spots up. So our Peninsula Transfers Award for hard charges is going to make a few changes here. Sam Lehman is currently the fastest mover in that. He jumped 20 spots last week. He's up 11 already this week. And I think that may well put him into the lead with Carl Barvik, the current leader in that award. But he is currently languishing down in 29th, getting involved, unfortunately, in those early episodes. So the Peninsula Transfers Hard Charger Award there's going to be a change at the top of that order, I would see, out of this race grouping tonight. It's a good time right now while we are under pace car just to mention our sponsors for the stream, AFTERSHOCK PC. If you are looking to get into sim racing or gaming in general and you're looking for a PC capable of doing anything from entry-level gaming, if you're interested in solitaire or you're trying to get right up to doing what we're doing here with broadcasting, AFTERSHOCK PC, the Brian and the guys out there in St Kilda in Victoria do an outstanding job. Excellent customer service, and they will tailor a PC to your needs and to your budget. So if that's what you're looking for, jump on board with them. Virtual Motorsport mentor Chris Purnell and his team, if you're looking to go faster once you're into sim racing, learn the tracks, learn how to drive the cars, even from setting up the basics that you need to get things looking and reading right, Chris Purnell and his team at Virtual Motorsport Mentor will help you out. We did give a lucky viewer last week a session with Chris, so do stick around. We are looking to hand out more prizes for our viewers, including more sessions with the guys at VMM, so do stay tuned for that. And last but not least, we are a Razer streamer, so we appreciate their support. Our headsets, albeit we purchased them, are Razer units, and they are absolutely brilliant. Last but not least, HJ Plant Repairs, our sponsor for the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series. We love their support, along with Peninsula Transfers, as well as D&O Building and Repair Services, our sponsors for our qualifying award. As the lights have gone out on the pace car here, and expect them to pull into the pits. We'll bring the map back up on the screen for you. It's already there. My apologies. It was covered by that guy with the flag, and
again.
We're 4 wide again. There has to be some race control here saying, guys, chill, let's get through a lap. And it is. There it is again, straight away. Straight away, as we've got Glenn Firth, and we've got another mid-pack spin. Fortunately, this time looking like it's not as bad, and just indicating, impacting there, on Brady Buchanan. And let's hope we get underway and get some green flag running here as the field has thinned out a little. We're on board with Rodney Hobbs, who was involved in that first incident, but Glenn Firth is the victim of the incident there on effectively lap 1.
So a couple things that are being investigated right now. Race controls, a couple drivers just jumping on the intercom and just requesting that race control look at the starts again, just for any jump starts and any start procedure, basically errors. There's a car wide there that Myers
Gone again. And it was a single car incident, that one. But he has backed it into the fence, so he will be making his way around to pit lane and potentially be out of this race with 6 minutes and 50 seconds to go on the pace car race for this evening.
Yeah, I was going to say that this race, I think it's getting towards the point where it's going to be time certain rather than lap certain. They're allowed 14 laps for this race. 25 minutes was available. Well, I don't think we're going to get 14 done in the time that remains. Things to note. The only 3 drivers that were in their starting positions prior to that restart was Boyd, Nicholson, Myers. Unfortunately, Myers has now dropped a few way. Oh, there's a car in the net. Is that Cartellone?
It was. Cartellone and also Laves running wide. So Laves all the way down in 27th. As Brad Clink makes up a few positions there as we again go 3 wide down into turn 1. And I reckon there's going to be a fair bit of, hey guys, we're here to race, not to pace. So keep it clean for the start of 2 or we'll start handing out the penalties because they want to get some racing underway here and do without a race heavily impacted by yellow flags. Seeing huge changes on the timing board here as the grouping tries to sort itself out, heading down into the boot.
Okay, so the message from race control about that restart, that was a racing incident. Racing incident was contact made, neither real driver's at fault, and just let it go. That one.
Well, really, what are they going to do? What are they going to do now?
I'm going to make a comment and take this any single way that anyone.
That's what
wants
we
to.
pay
It's
you
gonna
for.
be unprofessional. Yeah, look, I'm a pundit, and I'm here to be a pundit. Race control, for me, you need to, when something like this starts to happen, you put your foot down hard at the beginning, and then you can be softer on people later on. I don't care if you punish the first person to step out of line like this, because you won't have anyone else step out of line. If you slap them on the wrist, every time and just say, "Hey, racing incident, racing incident, racing incident," you know, then you start pushing boundaries real quick. And if you say to the guys, "Look, we are going to make punishments. We're not out, witch hunting or anything like that, but we're setting the standard that we're going to be strict on racing rules." Because things are starting to get. This another driver out in the dirt manages to save it just down.
Oh no, and there's a spin in the middle there, and that's Miles Bond. No, it was Miles Bond again getting taken out there as he's reversing back out onto the track. That is risky business. I'm going to moderate a little bit there, Scotty, and say it is terribly difficult, I think, for race control to pick someone out without picking out the wrong person in a situation like the ones we've just had. It's more for mine, I would be jumping on and saying, guys, not good enough. We'll black flag half a dozen cars if it happens again at the start of the next race, and then follow through on that if unfortunately it does happen. But the way that it happened at the start of this race, very difficult for them to try and single out someone without singling someone out, if you know what I mean. And getting the result that you're talking about there. So definitely a stern warning for the start of the second race.
But I don't mind the method that I outlined. Is something that I prefer. You're basically saying down, look, this is the standard that we expect from you, right? I'm not saying, and it is. I'm not. And at no stage am I ever going to say that stewarding, officiating, any of that is an easy job at all. Don't get me wrong. I've had my fair realm of incidents whereby with other games I've been an tournament admin, and I've had to lay down the letter of the law and do these sorts of things and go, hey, look, guys, your tournament is now over because you've overstepped the margin that you knew was already there. So that's on you guys. So, but it's tough, but I think something needs to be done because it's been a couple times in the last couple of weeks, and it's wrecks I think that could have necessarily been avoided. Is the way that it's cracking down on restart procedure. I think is going to be the word of the week this week to all the drivers.
Well, we'll have to agree, as always, to disagree on some of this stuff, and that's why we're here to give you our honest opinions on where it's all at. But definitely hoping that it doesn't happen to race 2 because it doesn't give the best showing for this great and growing category. As we're just on board with Frank Hodak here, who is up into 5th place, getting a fair bit of curry here from Toby Pope, my apologies, a slip there. Toby Pope in 6th position, just trying to hassle him. Matty Gray in 7th, 25 places up.
There's another incident happening somewhere with Brady Buchanan involved. I just heard him jump on.
So he went off track there. I'll just jump back into that one. Oh, he's in a he's in a massive pack of cars there, and you can see what the result is. Oh, and who is that? Back across the track. That is not on either.
One may have parked it.
No, it was Bolton, Buchanan, Jeff Connell, and that's it by the look of it. And Brady McHugh ultimately succumbing to his injuries by the look of it. He's had another incident just up around the corner here. No, he's just driven straight ahead there to try and get that car back. So, look, let's jump back on with our race leader to try and bring this home for the last minute that we've got. And he's just done a 46.01, the fastest lap of the race, but plenty to investigate post-race. And the only thing that we know about is really that Jack Boyd, Simon Nicholson, and Rick Kuznetsov home and clear as our top three in this race. Not only far enough in front that only incident will change that, but they haven't been involved in any of the shenanigans in the middle of the pack, so nothing for them to be investigated for, and they'll progress into race 2 as our top 3 cars at this stage.
I'll tell you what, Webster, Hodak, and Pope, Gray, Spithill. Oh man!
Wow!
Those guys,
what a race for them!
Absolutely laughing.
What a race!
Because all they've done is accident avoidance. That's it. That's all they've had to do so far this race. Keep their cars clean and look where they're pointing. Right at the pointy end of the field. That is certainly for sure. So guys, if you're looking for a little bit of about how to get through to the front, let's keep a clean car. Keep your eyes up the road. That's what these guys would have done. If you're looking at just over the front bumper of your car, where you're never going to spot a car 3 or 4 rows up ahead of you that's all of a sudden out of control and something you need to be aware of. So.
What it does do for us as well as the clock reaches 0, so this will finalise this race 1 of this evening, is create a rather delicious prospect for us for the next race, where we've got some of our strongest drivers trying to come through from the back of the field. So provided we can get to a clean start for race 2, it's going to be a great one with plenty of passing opportunities on this track. We just need to get through those first couple of laps clean, and it should be a good one for us. As Jack Boyd takes it across the finish line, followed by Simon Nicholson and Rick Kuznetsov, rounding out our top 3. Webster, Hodak, Pope, and Gray, top 5 through 7. Michael Spithill in 8th, Luke Bergens in 9th, and Sam Lehman rounding out our top 10. As the interjector flag marshal just jumps in front of the camera again there to get his head on TV, just as we get to the end of this one.
I'll tell you what, for a short race, there was a hell of a lot of cars. Whoa, I'd say that there's going to be some words to put things lightly. Well, put it this way: if this was in real life, we would have just seen, I'd say, upwards of $2 to $3 million worth of damage during that race.
Yeah, conservatively, plus the fines for driving, plus the suspensions and everything else that goes with it. So, wow.
There's a lot to dissect there, that's for sure.
I'm not sure that we've got enough science laboratories to dissect what happened in that race. We've got a 5-minute changeover period here, which may get fast-forwarded by our race stewards. In the meantime, I really don't know what to say, which is unusual for me. For anyone that knows me, I'm a little bit lost for words.
Race control are going to investigate post-race the jump starts, the overlaps, everything. So,
yeah, well, as I said earlier, I don't think there's anything else they can do. So, look, let's change the vibe. Let's change the tone a little bit. We've got another race here for the drivers to set things right. It's a 45-minute race, and there will be a pit stop required by each of the drivers. So let's see what they can do. Hopefully get through a clean start here and get into some sort of position where they can run their own race rather than the yellow flag issues that we have been plagued with for our first race tonight. As you can see there, Michael Spithill doing enough in pit lane to get himself black flagged, and in doing so had a BMW run into him as well. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Generally, they would normally fast forward this section so that we can get into the next component of our evening.
I'd say race control is quite close to
Disqualifying a few?
I'd say race control is getting quite close to just pausing the chat. So the warm-up period here it's a good opportunity for drivers just set. Like we said, there's a lot to digest that come out of that first race. And from every driver that was in that last race, I think they need that opportunity to stop, reset, think about what they did, think about what they could have done better, think about how much room they're providing, how they're controlling restarts, whether or not race control. The other thing is it could come down to a pace control issue. It looked like everyone was chomping at the bit and ready to go. That's fine. I have no problems with that. I have no problems with them all trying to form up. The problem is that they're underneath the control of the lead car. Now, congratulations to Jack Boyd on winning the first race, on taking out the qualifying award. He's the driver that was having everything under control. So whether or not there's something, again, me just being a pundit, me being devil's advocate, I'm just saying, look, there may be something to have a look at there in terms of procedure improvement. Whether or not they set a minimum speed, a minimum and maximum speed for pacing once the car leaves, right up until the point that the leader decides to go. I don't know if it's a green flag restart. I have a feeling it might be you cannot go until given the green flag, which is good. I like it. Really, really like it when it's very set and specific. There's no wiggle room for the drivers, right? Which is and no interpretation is the other key thing that lawyers tend to make their money on. So, again, me being a pundit and just purely being a pundit, I am not in any way associated with the race control, anything to do with any of the drivers in the series. I'm just playing devil's advocate and putting words out there purely because Stuart's offered me the format to do that.
As I said, it is what we pay you for, so absolutely the way to go about it tonight. So let us know what you think in the audience as well. You know, we definitely thrive off your comments in the feed. So what do you think of what happened in race 1? And certainly let us know what you would be doing if you were in race control's position to try and tame the beast and get the drivers back in line so that we get a better, more indicative of what we're used to seeing with this category race 2.
Just having a look through the in-game chat as well, text chat. Ian McMahon and Trent Laves, both of them having a really good conversation about an incident. They've both gone back, they've both reviewed it together. McMahon's apologized to Trent and said, hey, look, racing incident, I actually caused it though. So, and Trent accepted the apology, said, yep, let's press on, let's go back. So, hang on, race control's just
the session comes to an end.
It's going the green. It's going the green.
Okay, so that's normal. So that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And what we do see sometimes is drivers getting a little bit ambitious and taking off before the green drops, particularly our leaders. So it's up to those leaders to make sure that they control what goes on.
Very specifically, race control just spoke up and said you have to be within 2 car lengths of the car in front on the restart. So
yeah, something we did focus on.
They've now clarified that they're going to stick by the letter of the law. So I think everyone is now being warned, and the threshold has been crossed whereby we're return. You guys, you've been told, here's the rules, stick to them or else, and I like that.
And I'm just going to give to you quickly an update on the grid because, to be perfectly frank, it was diabolical. So we don't know where anyone is other than our top 3 finishers. So we've got Boyd, Nicholson and Kuznetsov, who avoided a majority of the catastrophe that unfolded in race 1. Webster, Frank Hodak, very impressive result for him, up into 5th. Toby Pope, in 6th.
Season so far for Hodak?
Gray, yeah, that would be. Gray, 7th. Spithill in 8th. Bergen's 9th. Lehman 10th. Sebastian Murray Westberg up from way down in the nosebleeds, up into 11th, and Simon Lana in 12th. This is almost a reverse grid for us in this context, and I don't mean to be rude to the drivers, but Brad Clenk 13th, Boyd 14th, Wang 15th, Laves, my apologies, in 16th, Chapman 17th, Bartholomew 18th, Bolton 19th, and Thurtle 20th. We've got Voss, Mayers, McMahon, and Cartellone rounding out our top 24. And important to note there that Laves is our current championship leader, and Cartellone is currently sitting third. So their first race results are going to have an impact on the championship, with the gap first to third only 100 points. So don't be too surprised to see big changes as a consequence of this round. We've unfortunately then only got Hobbs, Buchanan, Barvik, Connell, Jackson, Bond, McHugh, and Glenn Firth rounding out the 32 cars that will start this race, given some... I'm not sure that there was any non-finishes there. We had an indication on the screen too to say that Kuznetsov actually crashed. Did he run wide, did he, and I missed it?
I don't actually know.
He's still sitting in third place on the grid, so perhaps they're just running a little wide, and that triggering the indicator on our screen.
Look, there's been a lot to get through. I wouldn't blame the software for showing some incorrect errors time, because we're having them, that's for sure.
I was about to say, yeah, let's regroup for this one. It's hopefully not going to be as an exciting start as the last one was, but we will do our very best to keep up with it and bring it all to you as it unfolds. Obviously, always looking back in the mid-pack to see what sort of action we get, and you can rest assured, I should say, that Jack Boyd will try and be off and running when this one does get underway. The pace car will pull off track in
only given an EOL penalty to start the race from the rear of the field.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's going on there. There was just some discussions that somebody was out of position and they were going to peel off and run down pit lane when green there. And just a word of warning to all the drivers, just to sort of be careful. I think they were trying to resolve that.
Yeah, there's some shuffling going on. Some shuffling going on in the pack as well, so maybe some drivers not quite getting off the line in order to get this one underway, and as a consequence just having to sort themselves out, as sort of see Spithill and Hodak moving around a little bit in the order there. But it looks like they've 2 by 2 for the Saints to go marching in, as the pace car is going to pull off and we're going to get ready to go on this one. Waiting for that flag to drop, and there we go, and we're off and running when it goes green. And I don't know why the lights there didn't go green, but we are, what are we there? 1, 2, 3, 4 wide in the middle, and we've got a spin already.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be the case in the... They managed to keep it clean. Is that Hodak?
It is Hodak. It is Hodak.
Has been turned, and I tell you what, Bergens is up quite a few spots there as well. Spithill, Bergens is the early gainer out of all of that.
And a much cleaner.
Immediately on the radio, actually.
Yeah, he got turned.
So.
Yeah, he got turned around. Unfortunately, there's going to be a penalty for that one. He got turned around, and as you pointed out, Cartellone there, starting from pit lane. Huge championship implications again for that one, with Cartellone having to cycle through the pit lane at the start of this race. So, not even really sure how that happens when the computer grids you up. So, just obviously maybe a post-race penalty there for Matty, and that's why he started.
It was something that was happening. I'm not sure what happened, why it happened, but there was something that was happening. I didn't quite catch exactly what it was, but there was something that was intentional. It wasn't a mistake or anything. It was done intentionally.
4 wide here as they climb up the hill. Supposedly the most dangerous section of the track, but we've hardly seen it at all tonight. Heavy braking zone, 2 wide down there into the hairpin as we make our way around for this first lap. A far improved and much tidier first lap, with only, unfortunately, Hodak getting impacted at the start here.
Drivers, everyone's sort of starting to s out. 25 laps, 45 minutes to work our way through. So you will see the gaps start to form after laps 3, 4, 5. everyone will just sort of start to separate as you get those different paces, and all of a sudden the drivers that were at the rear of the grid start to make their way through. Somebody making a move down the inside in the background. Car 3 wide of the turn 1. Car number 6, I believe it was, or car number 7. So I think it might have been Brady McHugh making his way back up from the rear of the field.
And Paul Chapman,
down there at turn 1.
Paul Chapman was involved in that crash and bash that you were just talking about there as well. So no incidents registered, but certainly contact between some of the drivers finding their way back through here from the mid-pack.
That was fine. Rubbings Racing, they all got around there nice and cleanly. A little bit of paint grinding off, and they were trying to share, I think, sponsor logos there on the sides of their car. But job done.
Certainly exchanging some paint. So we're back on board here with Jack Boyd, our race leader. He is cutting and running now. Around about a second in front of Simon Nicholson behind him. We've got Rick Kuznetsov, who is in third place, maintaining that third position from the start, doing a great job here to stick with the lead pack and get in the clear. BMWs 1, 2 and 3. So that BOP that everyone was wanting, not necessarily having the impact that they were. Daniel Webster here in fourth with Toby Pope behind him fifth. My man Luke Bergen's in sixth in the McLaren. Watch the flames out the back of that one as he makes his way around this part of the track. Brad Clenk in the GT behind him. Michael Spithill in the Ferrari in... he's actually... looks like he may have succumbed. No, he has not. Timing monitor there, still trying to catch up on what's going on. So Spithill in 8th on track. We've got Sam Lehman 9th and Sebastian Murray Westberg to round out our top 10.
Righto, field starts to settle themselves down. Tell you what, that Ford GT, you can pick it out a mile away, can't you? It's a real pretty car, that one of Brad Clank's. And nice and easy to spot, which commentators always love. Same there for Bergen's just up ahead. Now, they were actually just mentioning Bergen's is having a little bit of intermittent sort of connection issues at this point in time. So something that they're going to manage. I mean, he's quick, and I think he's making his way forwards. I do expect him to start pressuring the rear end of Pope over the next couple of laps and see if he makes a move. Yeah, he's looking there. Now. He's looking aggressive.
So it's yeah, the internet issues definitely worrying for the drivers around as we jump on the back of Pope here. Definitely worrying for the drivers around them.
He took a slightly wider entry line, so he took his brakes just a little bit deeper in, tried to turn the car and get on the power nice and early.
Big slide.
Do that again. And Pope was wide there as well. Bergen's now starting to work all over the rear end of the blue and white Mercedes of Toby Pope. Can he catch him out under brakes? It's not when the McLaren is known for its pace. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Now from the front end, looking forward at the Racing Image logo on the rear end of Pope's Mercedes. Webster, the teammate, I believe, of Pope, just up ahead of him as well. So
big tyre issues, big traction issues for the Merc.
Yeah, so they work their rear tyres quite hard, and that's really allowed Bergens to get up left, right, and then they'll make their way down the start, finish straight to start another lap. Will he be vulnerable? He's wide on entry here as Pope. He's carried a lot of speed. He's had to catch a little bit in the mid-corner. Now comes Bergens. Not quite close enough. There's a chance here. There's a chance he might have a look. There's the look. He's down the inside. He's far enough along. Great move, Bergens.
He's got the job done there as well. It's just while we were on board with them, Jeff Wang having another off, unfortunately, and sliding way down the field, down into 28th position in his BMW. So, unfortunately for him, looking like a day to forget, as we see Brad Clenk there jumping right down the inside of Toby Pope as well. Pope having real traction issues in that Merc, just trying to get the power down. So Brad Clenk there moving up another spot into 6th position. So he's up 7 spots from his grid position at the start of this race.
That I think Bergens had to go a little bit deep in order to get that move done, which would have upset Pope on the straight and made him very, very vulnerable to Clenk. And I think Clenk would have realised that with all of his racing pedigree and just said, hey, look, got to set myself up for a move down at the end of the straight. Got it done nice and cleanly.
So is this the time, is this the day, is this the place for the McLaren to make its first appearance on those top steps? 47.52 for Bergens last time around, including passing a car. 46.42 for Kuznetsov in the third placed BMW. There's Daniel Webster in between in a Mercedes-Benz. So Well, you can see there Webster just about a second up the road from Bergens. As wow, off on the inside there, that was Miles Bond, apparently, who has had an incident on the inside of the track and hit the Armco quite hard. So
I think he towed it straight away by the look of things.
He did.
As well.
I believe he got out of the way, which is a good thing given where he was. These two RRT Bow Repairs cars, the Brad Klink Ford and Michael Spithill Ferrari working together. But Bergens is cleared out. He's 2 seconds up the street already from Brad Klink. He is not here to muck around and trying to get himself up onto the back of Daniel Webster in that Mercedes-Benz.
And it wouldn't surprise me as well if the McLaren isn't kind to its tyres. We're actually seeing multiple cars again. This is a recipe
still
for
on
disaster.
Pope. Still on Pope.
3 wide once more. Wow, the green BMW in the background. Was that Laves? I think that might have had to have backed out of that one. Pope vulnerable once again. He is just
sliding down the order. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm not sure if he's copped some damage there or if he's just really struggling with the rear tyres on that car.
That could be the other thing.
How did we miss this? How is this man down in 13th spot?
Pope? Wow, he is.
No, Boyd. Glenn Boyd. Glenn
Boyd.
Boyd is... there's no off-track notification at all. How is Glenn Boyd? He's down 13 positions from his starting spot on pole position. So, not sure how we missed that there.
Not Jack. Jack's still leading the race. We're all good. You had me going there, Stuart. You had me going. Jack Boyd's still leading the race. We're all good. We're okay.
Our timing monitor there showing that he's down 12 positions, so apologies for that. I'm not sure
it was me as well there.
why it's doing that.
Yeah. So
all right.
It's all good.
All good. Back on deck. That's why I was surprised. I didn't get any notification. I've been watching the timing monitors. And I didn't see anything, but look at what's happened. But no, Jack Boyd miles out in front now, nearly 4 seconds up the street from Simon Nicholson in second. And we've got the back of his car still under pressure from Rick Kuznetsov in third. We do have pit strategy to come into this one as well.
Okay, so black flag's just been handed out to Ian McMahon. Unsafe rejoin. So he's already running down at the tail end. Won't ruin his race too much further, but I'll pretty much guarantee him to an end of the line. Pope is in the pits.
Yeah, well, he's struggling so badly with that Mercedes. I'm not surprised. So a good decision if he's taking tyres as this battle here, this mid-pack. We've got, again, half a dozen cars covered by less than a second. So this is where the battle is for position. And he was right in the midst of that and struggling. So better to pull in, get out of the pack, maybe take some tyres and rejoin. Big dive there down the inside as well, out on the dirty stuff. And that's affected the run out of the corner there for Boyd. So heavily in traffic.
It's going to be a lot of work to do. McHugh and Lada there. So it's Lada that he's side by side with at the moment. Lada might make the move back down the inside. They've spent so many corners in a row side by side. But now the Boyd Racing BMW Z4 yields to that of Simon Lada in the Simfinity entry. With his teammate just up the road. Tell you what, Boyd's not keen to let it go. He's gone to the pits. He's going to the pits.
Yeah, he is. He's doing his pit stop early to get out of the mess.
That's not a bad idea. Get out, fresh, clean track, turn some laps on your own, and see what you can do. Whether the undercut will be at play, who knows at this point in time. Sebastian Murray Westberg yields one position over to Brady McHugh, who all of a sudden starts to make that Mercedes look extremely fast.
The other man who's doing really well in all of this still as well is your man Brady Myers, who is now up into 9th position, up 13 spots from his grid position, and currently the lapping with the fastest cars on the track, so making his way through the pack to get back up to where he needs to be in this championship.
Oh,
and there's a big couple of taps there, wasn't there?
It was just, they were both fighting for the same little bit of real estate, and unfortunately, One of the drivers not quite able to pay the premiums to pick that one up at auction, so Myers will take it and move his way on up the grid, and Laves actually that yields one more place to Myers there.
Again, championship implications for that one. Laves really needing to get his way up the grid to continue to hold that first position on our championship standings. So he won't want to be mucking around. We've still got just over 30 minutes left in this one. A far calmer and more orderly race in race 2 than we saw in race 1, which was basically like the running of the bulls in Spain. So definitely a better result here at the moment for a number of our drivers who are able to make their way back up the field. As you'll see, Mayers go past Michael Spithill. Sorry, my apologies. That was actually up a little bit further ahead. It was Mayers going past... No, it was right. Mayers going past Spithill beforehand. My apologies. Sorry, again, the timing monitor just not quite updating at the same speed as what I am watching. So...
Still not. Mario Wersberg, I think, has just dropped down a whole host of positions. He's actually just called through to race control to have a look at an incident on turn 1 on that time through. So
well, let's do him a favour and have a look at it ourselves. So we'll just start jumping at a quarter pace here just to see what was going on. Probably gone a little bit too early with that one there, so we'll go back live. What have we got here? Just a big dive down the inside. He's turned across. I'm not seeing a lot there, unfortunately, for Sebastian. I think if they look too hard, they'll see that he turned in too hard and probably should have given racing room there. So not a lot to look at from the perspective of the race stewards.
Nope, not agree with that one.
So we'll jump back on live here with Sam Lehman.
But I mean, here's the thing from the driver's perspective, right? At this point in time in the red mist has definitely descended. That much we know about. And there's still the adrenaline would still be burning off. That is for sure. So when something else continues to happen like that, automatically you're on the defensive. So it's very, very easy to immediately think that you've been wrong, which is fair enough. But unfortunately for SWM, or SMW, he's the one in the wrong there.
If you can just give us a little bit of an update as it comes through there on what race control decides, but I think you'll find that there'll be no further action taken with that one.
Or if anything. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, the driver that was at fault self-penalised himself, really, hasn't he? So, anyway, all right, eyes back towards the front of the pack, and Bergens has found a way past
I was about to say, Daniel Webster there dropping a position to Luke Bergens up into 4th. Didn't see any off-track at all there either, so... that all unfolding while we were watching the rest of the pack. Still 6 seconds behind Rick Kuznetsov in 3rd place, so not gaining as much on the lead 3 drivers, but certainly up into 4th position.
I think Spitty and Spithill and Brady McHugh actually just commenting on the radio. It's like McHugh might have gotten a little bit loose. Rear end started to rotate up from underneath him and just gave him a little bit of a playful, hey, hang on to the rear end of that one. Brady responded in kind with just, yeah, she's a little bit loose right now. So Ty is copping a little bit of a beating on their way around the Watkins Glen course.
So Glenn Boyd dropped into the pits to get out of the mid-pack a few laps ago. Just giving you an update on his position. He is lapping faster than all of the cars around him, and back up into 24th position on the grid. So that is going to, I think that's going to play out quite well for him, and don't be surprised to see him finish up towards the pointy end of the field. Not top 3, but certainly inside the top 10, I would expect, as if he can keep this pace up, he will make up a fair gap when the other cars start to make their way through pit lane, as Jeff Connell now ducks into pit lane to do his required pit stop, again getting out of the pack of cars. Got Simon Leitner out on his own a little bit now as well, and lapping still a little slow for what you would hope. So he was involved a little bit earlier in some pack battles, so hopefully not having hurt his tyres too much in that battle to take advantage of this breathing space that he's got.
Yep, so race controls just come back on and said that no further action for Sebastian Murray-Wesberg, and I can't remember who it was that dived in the inside of him, so that one's been left right alone by the stewards, which, as we said, good call on their behalf. So,
Definitely
all right,
either way.
Time to start looking through the field and see who's really done a job. Myers is up 15 positions from his starting point in this race, and Brady McHugh is plus 22 this race. So up from 31st position all the way up to 9th position. So both of those guys, even though, look, worst comes to worst, you have a bad first race, both of them immediately just go into recovery mode. And we were talking about it, I believe, quite heavily last week or the week before about some damage limitation. Bad races, they'll happen. These guys have shown us this evening how you need to respond. And legends are made by how they respond to the hardest conditions. Neither of these guys are worried about what's happened in the past. It's in the past. You can't do anything more about it right now. The best thing you can do is eyes forward, next corner, next corner, next corner. That's what a top-tier racing driver needs to do.
As old Siren Head pops his melon on the screen again as we look at the cars coming down the main straight. Simon Leitner still battling away here. Very small gap between himself and Sam Lehman. I've been keeping an eye on this one. It's been going on now for a couple of laps. And just not able to quite get the job done. So, as I said, hopefully those early battles didn't hurt his tyres too much. But just struggling BMW on BMW to get the result he's leading there. Sticking his nose in and not quite being able to pull that off through the chicane or through the flip-flop.
Bus stop, they call it in NASCAR terminology. And that car a little bit wide there, yeah. So it'll be Chapman dropping behind Murray-Wesberg.
Yes, it
was very, very wide. So what you're trying to do, that's probably a good opportunity for us to point out what the drivers are actually trying to do with their cars through the bus stop chicanes. And you will see them on the circuit if we ever do end up at the Daytona road course. There's a very, very nearly identical chicane there, also known as the bus stop. They're trying to keep the cars nice and pointy. So you want a straight line the first two corners, basically. Oh, is that Lada? We were just talking about him. He's done such a good job getting his car up the field, and all of a sudden it's beached itself.
Yeah, I think really significantly struggling with tyres there. So that's unfortunate for him. He'll make his way around a pit lane and get the pit stop done, I think.
Yep, that's probably not a bad way to go. Cool these tyres off. Refresh himself, maybe grab a sip of water and go again. That's what he's going to do now. Right, so anyway, I'll tell you what, Stuart, do you reckon we can get an onboard footage from somebody attacking the bus stop chicane this time around?
We'll see what we can do here. We'll try and jump on board with Luke Bergen's. Jump on the roll bar there as I think he's heading around towards the bus stop. So
trail is keep braking right the way in through the entry. Turn the car in slightly, dab at the brakes again to point it back to the left. Look how nice, neat, and accurate that is. Look how minimal the steering input was there from Bergens. That's just about perfect through the chicane. You're not trying to veer the car heavily to the right through the first part of the right-left of the bus stop chicane, because then that positions you poorly for the left-right. You've got to rotate the car so much further back to the left before you can rotate it back to the right. So what you're trying to do is a nice and narrow exit, and basically as you start to turn the car into the left at the first portion of the chicane, pretty much just carry that steering input right the way through the chicane and you're right then. You don't really it's not really two chicanes, it's basically a right-hander, a long left-hander, and another right-hander out.
And it can make a big difference to your lap time as well if you're not getting that turn in and the double apex quite right to get the exit speed that you need. You can find yourself a second or so down on a lap against your compatriots or other competitors. So,
and look, it's just a good skill to have.
Jeff Connells has crashed. Jeff Connell has crashed
and disconnected actually.
So we're not even getting to see a replay of that one, unfortunately. So yeah, Jeff Connell is out of this race. So we'll jump back on board with our race leader.
That's disappointing.
It's very disappointing. He was running in fourth.
Could have been running in fourth. It was Nicholson, Kuznetsov, Bergens. I think he was running somewhere in the mid to bottom of the top 10.
Oh, okay, I saw him slide down the leaderboard again, so apologies for that.
So what actually happens, so that would be what you're noticing actually there, Stuart, is that as soon as they jump to wherever that car is on the lead lap, right, basically. So if Boyd has just passed the finish line, he'll stick him in behind Boyd, because that's where his pit box is on that same lap. So, and then he'll shuffle through, as you can probably see on your timing screens now. He's dropped all the way back to 23rd. 24th basically as everyone starts to file past, so it's all good. Something, it's a little quirk of the system that I've been noticing the last couple of weeks.
Okay. So, just circling back through the field here, Jeff Wayne, Carl Barvik battling it out again as we jump back through the bus stop there. This battle going on for 16th and 17th position. Carl Barvik, the current leader of our Peninsula Transfers Hard Charger Award. That's going to cop a little bit of a beating for him tonight, unfortunately, but definitely still battling away there for position.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's still time left in this race. We're 23 minutes, so we're pretty much just past halfway point in this race, so we've still got time to make a little position gaining. Maybe he's cycled through the pit lane. Actually, I'm gonna give me 30 seconds or so, Stuart. I'm gonna have a look at the drivers that have been down pit lane and where they popped out.
Yeah, no dramas at all. So we're still on board here with Sebastian Murray Westberg, who is down a couple of spots and in 13th at the moment, down 12 spots from his starting position in this field. That doesn't sound right to me, so probably not quite 12 spots, but down a few positions from where he did start the race. We've got Brady Myers as our biggest or second biggest mover in this one. He's up 17 spots, currently running in 5th position, trying to chase down Luke Bergens in the McLaren about 3 seconds further up the road. Daniel Webster right behind Brady Myers, keeping him in check. We've got Trent Laves in 7th. He is our current championship leader. Had a little bit of a difficult night tonight, but battled his way back up into 7th position in this one. And Brady McHugh, biggest mover on the track, a whopping 23 positions. He is up into 8th, and definitely giving Laves a run for his money here as they battle it out. Brad Klink, a little bit further down the road, 3 seconds. Michael Spithill in another one of the Redback race team managed cars, the Ferrari, in 10th position. So just touching back on our earlier conversation about the car parity issue, we've got BMW top 3 positions, and they are around about a second a lap faster as a best lap. But at this point in time in the race, they're actually running equivalent lap times to the top 6 cars. What we've got then is McLaren, followed by BMW, Mercedes, Ford, Ferrari. So I think we are probably a little bit close to what's going on here in terms of, firstly, the quantity of BMWs makes it difficult for the mix to be much different. But I can tell you, looking through the top 20 cars now, we've got, what have we got? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 BMWs and the rest other manufacturers. In the field, however, we've probably got about 20 BMWs. So overrepresented, but certainly not necessarily occupying the key positions on the track because of the vehicle. Maybe a little bit more down to the way the drivers have driven those cars. So keep an eye out during the week to see whether or not that balance of power argument has any legs on it again for a second week running. But again, it doesn't seem to me to be that any drawback on the BMW has had much of an effect, and that the overall result is more being impacted by the consistency of those drivers than anything else.
I've got some info for you. So, the lead driver that has pitted so far, you're not going to believe this, Glenn Boyd. He is absolutely flying. So he made that early decision to pit. We noted that he was getting bumped and bashed around a little bit. He's just uncomfortable with where he was positioned on the track. And the gap from him to the leader is 56 seconds. So he's going to pop out 26 seconds back from Jack when Jack actually transitions. So it's 30 seconds is your lane transition time.
He's going to be top 10.
Plus your pit stop. Yeah, he's going to be top 10. So we're looking, most of the drivers taking anywhere around 10, 12 seconds sort of in fuel basically at their stop. So you're looking at about a 41 to 45 sort of second pit lane transition time. So that's your pit lane delta time, right? So 45 seconds is going to pop him out 11 seconds behind his brother. That's phenomenal. He's 100% made the right call in that car. Another big mover and shaker of the cars that has pitted so far, Matthew Cartellone. He is currently a minute and 11 seconds down, so he's going to pop out, 30 seconds behind the leader. When he started driving through the pit lane on that first lap, he's going to pop out probably somewhere in around 15th, somewhere up to 10th place, potentially.
But he did just do a drive-through, did he not?
Yeah, Clink's, no, he's actually serviced. Cartellone actually serviced as well. So I've got a pit stop time registered for him as well. And I tell you what, Clink is about where he's going to pop out, which puts him in 9th. It depends where all these other drivers pop out after their stops as well. So Cartellone may have pulled some magic out of the hat here and managed to salvage halfway reasonable 9. I would expect we'd probably start seeing everyone start to file through the lane anytime we've got 15 minutes left in the race.
Yeah.
Anytime, I'd say probably in the next 5 minutes. I don't think they'll want to go too much longer. We've got some quiet time, Stuart.
I'm just taking it all in at the moment with Laves and McHugh still fighting for 7th and 8th position. Such a frantic start to the evening with the battles that were drawn early on in that first race. It's nice to just take a breath for a second and actually try and have a look through these battles and see where we've still got cars contesting for position, as Spithill and Lehman still battling there. We've just seen McHugh as well go past Laves for position 7 as well. So Bartholomew
forward on Webster as well. And something else that I was keeping an eye on, Bergens is slowly creeping up on Kuznetsov. It's not huge. He's brought the margin down to 4.5 seconds. So with a little bit of management and maybe some assistance from Myers, he could have a chance here.
And of course, there's also the pit stops. So
I love Pro-Am Tuesdays. I think it's the most chaotic of the races that we cover during the week. But for me, there's just a lot to talk about, isn't there? There's never first dull moment of the evenings. With 15 minutes left in the evening.
and there's battles still going on here. So you've got 3 seconds covering these 3 drivers on the screen. So that will close up as you see Jack Boyd now running into pit lane to do his pit stop, the leader of the race. So he is getting that done. Luke Bergen's also in pit lane to get that done. Trent Laves in pit lane getting his service done. So here we go. It's starting to happen. Brad Clink jumping into the pit lane. So who is going to be next to blink out of Nicholson, Kuznetsov? And let's have a look at those that you called in terms of moving up the grid. The guys that have already done their pit lane service. Glenn Boyd is the one we're keeping our eye on there. Expecting him to shoot into our top 10, probably around 7th position once pit lane transition is done.
Everyone from Boyd back has now completed their stops too. So pretty much wherever they file out behind him, that's nearly about where they're going to pop out in terms of race order.
Seeing tyres being taken as well there. So that was interesting. Brad Clink choosing to take tyres.
It'll be left-hand side tyres. Only left-hand side tyres. It won't be front, won't be rears. I'm sure it'll just be left-hand side tyres. Oh, it might be rears. Could be rears.
So Daniel Webster here still circulating around. So what we're looking for is Nicholson and Kuznetsov to blink and see where they end up coming out. Of course, a lot of time can be made up on your entry into pit lane, and of course the lap that you complete post pit lane transition on cold tyres. So Nicholson going around for another lap at the look of it. No, he's pulled in late there and got that into pit lane. So what we want to watch now is where, as Kuznetsov follows him in, our race leader pre-pit stop Jack Boyd comes back out around these guys. Brady Myers now moving up into temporary race lead.
Jack Boyd popped out in 6th position. Glenn Boyd is currently P15. He's popped out behind Laves. So Bergens has popped out P10. You're about to keep your eyes on the order. It is literally about to shuffle as we speak.
Let's keep watching. Sam Lehman moves up into 4th position, but we've got a huge swathe of cars in pit lane now. Luke Bergen's now shuffling his way back up. Is he going to get out in front of Rick Kuznetsov? No, the gap is too big. The gap is too big.
That gap has come down another half a second.
It has. Lavis in 8th position. McHugh in 7th position. The only driver in our top 10, the only drivers in our top 10 not to have done a pit lane transition. Sam Lehman in 4th and Brady Myers in 1st position. So no real change to the race order there, but Glenn Boyd, as we called it, going to be well inside the top 10 at the end of this pit lane cycle. So that pit lane strategy has worked out very well for him. He's going to move well inside the top 10.
I'll tell you what, Brady McHugh, P8 as it stands right now. So he's got Laves and Bergens ahead of him. Lehman and Myers are probably going to pop out. Myers is going to pop out right around him. Lehman should be behind him. So, whoa, it's on. It's on. All of a sudden, the race has come alive with moments, less than 10 minutes now left in the race. McHugh and Laves are going to be going at it like cats and dogs. Is that Myers in the lane now?
It is indeed. As Jack Boyd comes around to resume the lead of this race. Just looking to see when Sam Lehman's going to come in now.
Surely it's now.
On the inside of the track there, you'd expect. Wow. Given absolutely no room at all there on the way around. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was Kuznetsov. So he's back up into 3rd. Looking to see Bergens here, if he can get in front of Brady Myers. And it's going to be real tight here. Myers getting out in front of Bergens, and that is 4 positions. So Myers...
He's going to have to fuel save. There's no way he gets out in front of Bergens and doesn't have to fuel save.
Well, he was
2 seconds less fuel than Bergens and Kuznetsov either side of him. So he is in fuel save mode, and he is going to be vulnerable to Bergens. But I tell you what, if there's anyone that can hang on to a position, it's going to be Myers.
He's 2 laps less in to this than Bergens, so he may not need to fuel save at all. Bergens pitting on lap 17, Myers on lap 19. And the differential, they're about 1.5 seconds in fuel, so he may be okay. So we might jump on board here and just see if we can have a listen and hear if he's fuel saving or not, but I think he might be fine.
Maybe slightly from there, maybe slightly. But I think the big place to be saving will be the end of the bus stop chicane and at the end of the start-finish straight. Those are the 2 places that I'm most keen to listen to. Tell you what, I turned down my engines earlier because I was having trouble hearing everything else that was going out on track over the beautiful engine notes, but now I want to turn them back up. I want a single revolution of the engine as it makes its way down to turn number 1 for Myers. No, not saving. Not saving.
Struggling a little bit with the tyre grip, but that's to be expected. And he's 2 seconds up the street from Luke Bergens behind him. So I think he may well have managed to play the undercut very well there and is now in solid fourth position, and only a second and a half up the road is Rit Kuznetsov in third position. So with just on 8 minutes to go, you can see the gap there. Is he going to be able to get it done or not?
Well, it's the difference between being on the podium and getting interviewed at the end of the race and getting to park the car and not have to talk to anybody. So whether or not Brady's sick of talking to us week after week and wants a break from that and let Rick have it.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, I think it's really the reward of being involved in the series, is getting to talk to us at the end of every race. So there's a move on here between Glenn Firth and Simon Lartner.
Well, just got the inside in the chicane, and Firth just yields nicely and provides racing room. So good response by a few of the drivers there this evening.
Jump.
How do you deal with downtimes now?
Just jumping on board with Glenn Boyd, that's the answer to the question. Our man up into ninth position, having managed his race extremely well in this second 45, or the longer format 45-minute race for tonight. So pit strategy playing out very well for him. So just got a notification, Glenn Firth running wide and coming off track.
I was just having a look through at the strategy calls. Boyd pitted on lap 6. He's done a really, really good... But who pitted the earliest? Cartellone went down and did his service on lap number 1. He actually did his service on lap 1. So that wasn't a drive-through that he was dealing with. He was trying to get his service done and carry it through to the end of the race and get away from all the shenanigans. So that's what's allowed him to drive as far up the field as he possibly has done, is that he's had to drive his way around... That's a really good call from him.
It is a good strategy play, but of course he's going to be struggling towards the end of this race without the opportunity to take tyres had he chosen to do so. So no mean driver by any stretch of the imagination, so he will keep battling along. Just see a move over onto the inside there for one of our lap cars to allow Laves and McHugh to keep fighting for positions 6 and 7th. Brady McHugh, our hard charger for this race, up 24 spots, doing a cracking job. The gap, I can tell you as well, between Myers and Kuznetsov is now down to just under a second, actually just over half a second.
Oh, that's Clank. Clank?
No, it's Matty Gray. Just
Clank's
off on the inside there. He's in the Plant Repairs livery GT. So this battle here will rage for the rest of the race. Kuznetsov and Myers basically pitting on the same lap, so just trying to cut the draft there. Kuznetsov, by ducking off onto the inside of the track, can lead sometimes to not the right result if you do that aggressively at higher speed. We've seen plenty of drivers lose time doing that, so it's a matter of being careful and keep doing what you're doing. Brady Myers is about half a second a lap faster than him, so not a massive amount where you can see that there's going to be a huge passing opportunity easily for Myers to make his way around. So he will have to work hard to get that position from Kuznetsov. He just needs to make that BMW as wide as he possibly can to try and make sure, as Cartellone has entered pit lane just by the by. And he's just going to have to try and make that BMW as wide as he can and defend, as Kuznetsov now coming under pressure. Doing well defending down on the inside line there. I'll leave him a little bit exposed on the exit here as he'll run wide. And we've got Kuznetsov under heavy pressure here from Brady Myers.
Yeah, he's going to try and run it down the outside. Go the long way around here as...
Does he get it done?
Side by side. Racing room given. Has he got it done?
No, he hasn't.
No. He's had to yield, and I was actually looking for him to... There, right the long way around the outside for Myers. Would he give him the inside for the next corner? Now it'll be a left-hander to bring you finally to the last corner on the circuit. right-hander that gives us down to the start-finish straight. And I think Myers will have a look at the inside at the end here. Gets underneath Kuznetsov, which means Kuznetsov can't break the draft this time by. He'll be picking up himself up a little bit of the side draft. As long as Kuznetsov is in front, Myers will have a slight advantage in speed down the straight, pulls alongside, and manages to drive it around the outside. That's a really good job by Kuznetsov, and Myers gives a great amount of racing room to rejoin. Now they come uphill through the S's. It's still side by side. Myers will have the advantage once they get down to the bus stop chicane, but a little bit of door rubbing has allowed Kuznetsov to get back on by. I'm sure race control is going to have a lot more to look at.
There should be nothing to say about that at all, other than well done, guys. Great racing. A little bit of door rubbing, no harm, no foul, and we keep this one going.
I was going to say they'll look at it, but there's nothing left, I don't think. And Kuznetsov.
Oh, a little bit of retribution as we're on board there, and they've both taken one another out. And Bergens is cleaning up the scraps here. He is on his way through into third position. There may be something to look at now with that little incident there. Let's go back.
Myers is towed.
Oh, he hit the grass. It was completely innocuous. If we roll it back a little bit here, you'll be able to see that, unfortunately, just on the entry to the turn here, if we slow it down, he's just grabbed the grass and it sent him around. So, unfortunate incident there, the net result of which is Kuznetsov and Myers are both out of this race.
I tell you what, Bergens is through. It's time for Bergens and that McLaren to grab their first ever taste of champagne in the Aus Pro-Am class since we've been on board with things. And I tell you what, Boyd has got 1 minute and 10 seconds left before he gets to taste champagne for the second time tonight and get to see our favourite flag waving official wave a checkerboard flag back at him down the circuit. So, right-hander down the hill where the NASCAR circuit changes back over onto the boot-styled layout for Boyd. 45 seconds now. He's going to go close to squeezing another lap in here.
No, this is the final lap.
Okay, so we're good? We're good.
Yeah, it's been called. Final lap.
Oh, I tell you what. Up the hill now, across the bumps here at the top of the hill and down into the braking zone. It's not the easiest to get the car pulled up nice and these cars get ABS. They get a little bit of braking and assistance, but Jack Boyd hasn't needed any of that this evening. Back-to-back victories, clean cars in both races, from lights out to flag in both of them, with the exception of our pit stop in the secondary race. And what a drive it's been week after week for Jack Boyd. He has been the absolute standout performer. Can't get the Hard Charger award if you don't ever grab a place, because you never needed to in the beginning. Well done to Jack Boyd.
And jump on board here with Simon Nicholson as he brings himself around to take out second place in this one. And we got the call a little bit wrong there as well, albeit Luke Bergen's definitely coming around to take third in that McLaren. Rick Kuznetsov has managed to keep that BMW going, and he's going to bring home fourth place. I'm not sure what condition that car will be in. It won't be great from the damage that he took, but he's managed to take that home in fourth place. A good result for him. You can see there a fair amount of damage on the front of that car.
That's an engine blown on the inside there. There was a lot of smoke.
Yeah, I think that was Simon Nicholson who's just obviously run it back a couple of gears, and that's cost him a motor, but that's fine. He still takes home second place in this race, and wow, what an incident-filled race. But certainly nothing like the first race that we saw there early on in the evening. And good result from our drivers to make sure that we didn't end up with the havoc that we had in our first race this evening.
Look, if we're going to say driver of the day and driver of the day for the audience, I would like to give it either to two people. I'm looking at either Brady McHugh for such a hard-charging second race, or the guy that finished just behind him on circuit in Glenn Boyd, mate, to pit on lap 6 and get yourself through to the end of the race at lap 26. That's Bergen's out of fuel, by the way, getting a push from Matty Gray. But he made the early call to go to the box, and he's managed to make it work. So congratulations to him.
No, it was certainly a much improved and fascinating second race for us, as there's some Morse code going on the back of Bergen's car while Matty Gray punches him around the track. Interesting that car's out of fuel, yet definitely just pumping those flames out the exhaust as they are extinguished. They are extinguished on a track, and Luke Bergens has dropped out there, so he will be pumped as the only McLaren in the field, up in third position there, doing a fantastic job at representing that iconic motorsport brand.
I'll tell you what, Zach Brown would be pleased with him.
Absolutely, he would be. He would be fist pumping, and being a man of some success on sim racing in the V8 Supercar iRacing series held during isolation. He would understand the trials and tribulations that Luke Bergens has gone through to get that car up onto the podium.
Yep. Look, sometimes you got to go with the outside pick, probably because you enjoy driving it more. And I tell you, enjoying it, 10 times easier to stick the practice laps in, and the practice laps this week paying themselves absolute dividends. Now, the one man I did forget to mention in the driver of the day negotiations is actually Bergens. And there's a couple of reasons that I want to put him up there for a potential vote. Number one, he did everything he needed to do in that first race to keep his car clean. What did that do in the second race? Allowed him, again, to stay clean, stay clear, overtake a couple drivers when and where he needed to, but most importantly, just look for his opportunities when they presented them. He's never put a foot wrong right the way throughout the race. And that's why he's standing on the podium at the end of it. Not because he was the fastest driver on the circuit, not because he had the most prepared and planned out strategy, but purely because he drove so cleanly, he put his car in the right spots when the accidents were going on. And sometimes that's all wreck avoidance needs to be, just putting your car in the right spot on the track. So great job to him.
Yeah, we'll drag in our podium now and get some thoughts from them on what was an extraordinarily entertaining evening for us as commentators. And I'll get you to take it away, Scotty, and as we're joined by Jack, Luke, and Simon.
Jack, I'd actually like to start with you, mate. You had a few cars banking up behind you on each of the starts this evening, but still managed to drive off into the distance with it in both races. They didn't let you have it easy, forcing you to have to do it multiple times, but great job once again, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty interesting race in the first one. No doubt there was a lot of action, obviously, with both safety cars. And yeah, the second race was not too bad. Definitely getting pushed. I was watching the lap times from Simon, and yeah, made a few little mistakes, but come in, got the fuel, and it was pretty easy sailing after that.
Look, I think you've been the most consistent performer throughout the last few weeks. That is certainly for sure. Another $15 up your sleeves for the pole position award. How do you feel about doing that one again?
Yeah, it's always good to get in a decent lap in quali. It's always, you got all the cars on the track within 20 minutes trying to, go the fastest, and maybe, a few people trying to get a little draft here and there, but that's all right. And yeah, it's always good to get, some prize money. It's a good incentive to practice. And yeah, thanks to DNO Building Services for the sponsor.
All right, congratulations there this evening. Now, Snyman, is that a little bit of compliment coming your way from Jack? How does that make you feel when he peeled to the timing screen just to keep an eye on your lap times, buddy?
Yeah, it's good. This is my first race in here, but no, it was good. Good fun, and I'll definitely have to practice for next race. I literally bought the car about 20 minutes before the race, so yeah, it was interesting.
You hear that, Jack? There's a target that has been painted on your back by Simon, buddy. Phenomenal drive for somebody who hasn't driven that car before this evening, so really well done. But the man of the hour in third position, Stuart's favourite driver on Tuesday evenings, it's Luke Bergens from the McLaren Racing team, mate. Did you get on the phone to Zach Brown after putting that one on the podium?
I might have to now.
Ask him if Daniel Ricciardo can jump out of that car for a practice session next year.
I might have to replace him now.
Seems only reasonable from where we're sitting, mate. A good come through there. Obviously, a little bit of bad luck for Kuznetsov at the end of the race there with a little coming together. But you drove a good race to get yourself back up the field there, 6 positions, and put a little bit of variety into the top 3, which is what we like to see.
Yeah, the BAP changes seem to even things out a bit more, and now it comes into a bit of driver now, being consistent. That's what I think helped a lot. Then I was really consistent, and I knew that the McLaren was going to come on later on in the race, which it did, and I just kept going along, and yeah, unfortunately for Rick and Brady, they came together, and I was able to come on through.
So, what I'd like to know from your perspective, Luke, because obviously the 2 guys that finished ahead of you there in that second race of the evening, they didn't have to deal with any of the early race dramas from race number 1 this evening. Walk us through what your thought process was when all of a sudden you see cars going this way, that way, and every other way. So you make your way down through the S's.
Your first instinct is just to brake, and kind of let it all unfold and then try to pick a gap. But then you obviously got to put into play as well the other cars that come flying up behind you that might not be as aware. So sometimes it can just be luck of the draw, and other times it can be just race smarts. There
was a couple of replays that we put up on the screen of a few cars ducking underneath other cars as they were rotating through the air angelically. So definitely some good luck for a couple of guys to get through that. And we had some big moves as a consequence of that, a couple of plus 20 odd places out of that first race. So made it interesting for the toss into the second race, and some guys doing some great jobs in driving through those packs as well. So, but we're pumped to have you on the top 3 steps this evening, guys. You all drove great races, and looking forward to seeing how you get on as the rest of the season progresses.
Thanks, guys.
Before we let you all go, start with Jack and obviously work through, and then on to Luke. Any shout-outs, boys, this evening?
Yeah, just of course, as always, a big thanks to all the supporters of Boyd Racing, Bimstruck Drafting Services, PZ Racing, and also Crystal Clear Audio. Thanks, guys.
Simon, any thanks there from you this evening?
Yeah, just to XRC, Track Racer, RC Maker, Simcore, and Simo Gaming. Thanks for all those guys.
Beautiful. And Luke, is it Zach Brown? That's the only one this evening?
Yeah, Zach Brown. I'd like to thank Whitman Racing and also Tolman Racing as well.
Old name from the past there. The Tolman guy's getting a call in too. So that gets us to the end of another breathtaking, is probably the right word for it, Aus Pro-Am Sim Series race, round 4 there, out of our... definitely one of my improving favourite tracks. I've not done a lot of driving at Watkins Glen, but every time we come here to commentate, the racing is close and really good. So off to Brands Hatch next week. And if we thought that things were close at the start of a lap at Watkins Glen, we ain't seen nothing yet, as the off-camber right-hand loop down into turn 1 at Brands Hatch definitely will provide us with a lot of entertainment here on FGM ECast. So I'm looking forward to that. And if we have a strong field again, like this series continues to produce, that is a process. That is a prospect to salivate at coming up for us next Tuesday night.
And it's an iconic track as well, Stuart. Like that's the other thing about it. It started out as a dirt track, and now is a road racing English dream drive, basically, for pretty much anyone who ends up in England and racing. It's pretty much where you want to be going.
We also have that as our midway point of the season. So just to give you a little bit of a rundown beyond that, we go then into another enduro race at Spa, followed by round 7 at the Interlagos circuit. Round 8 is Road America, another fantastic track, followed by Sebring, which is an enduro. In fact, we finished this series out, with 2 enduro rounds as the last 2 rounds of the year. And we've got Sebring followed by none other than Mount Panorama at the end, which is basically the only place you can finish a series that starts with Australia in it. So plenty still to come, and it's going to be interesting with the mixture of tracks that we've got. Basically, Brands Hatch, the shortest track left on the calendar, but a lot of fast tracks with, I think the racing is going to be nice and close. So the balance of power that we spoke about heavily tonight, going to show, particularly as we start to get to some of these faster circuits. So looking forward to bringing you the next 6 weeks of this series as we head through to the end of season 1 of the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series. There's plenty on the card, so important for the guys to put in good qualifying efforts at those tracks to get ahead of the field. And your keyboard is extremely loud, so maybe stop.
Yes, Stuart. Yes. And for everyone on the stream, I'll stop that for the protection of their ears as well.
Absolutely.
One of the joys of having a mechanical keyboard is my only source of communication implements. Okay, so things to consider. There's a lot of series is heading to Bathurst this week. In terms of iRacing, V8 supercars are at Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Roval there. So if you love racing, you want to get involved, purchase this level subscription, start driving, see where you end up. Big shout out to the guys over at Virtual Motorsport Mentor. One of the better ways to start learning the tracks, and maybe one day we'll be commentating on a series near you. Stuart, I tell you what, the only way I want to finish the stream tonight is through a move that I saw Shane Van Gisbergen give over to Chaz Mostert on the weekend in the V8 supercars coming down Hidden Valley Raceway's main straight. Reaches over, gets very close to the window on the right-hand side of his car. Chaz Mostert over on his right-hand side, of course, and a little bit of a shuckers shake down the straightaway there. It was one of the more unique incidents in motorsport I saw this week.
Yeah, no, well, they definitely are unique characters. And certainly, as you touched on there, Virtual Motorsport Mentors, a streaming partner of FGM ECast, along with the crew out at AFTERSHOCK PC in St Kilda there in Victoria. So if you're after a computer, jump on board with them. We are a Razer streamer. And as usual, this is us signing off on a Tuesday evening, having brought you a round of the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series. If you're looking for something entertaining, definitely jump back in and watch the replay on any of our socials, YouTube, Twitch, or on Facebook, and you will not be disappointed. We're heading tomorrow night to do a little bit of Fall Guys for our Retro Wednesday night. Hardly a retro round, but we're doing what we can during this COVID lockdown period, which means we cannot effectively do what we would normally do. So join Reese and I, and a special guest as well for our Wednesday night retro gaming, starting at 5 p.m. on the stream here, followed by Ann's Car Racing, and that is going to be a doozy as well, so don't miss out on that one. Thursday night's GT Super Thursday, where we bring the NZSR series to you from Spa, followed by the third round now of the Australian Endurance Championship to round out our motorsport week, and then we've got other bits and pieces on the stream. So as always, thank you very much for joining us on this Tuesday evening from your E-Place for Pace, FGM ECast, and we will see you tomorrow night for some more entertainment. It is bye for now.